Ethan thought he had it all, a loving wife, a stable life. But when Mia's betrayal came to light, he didn't break. Instead, he built an empire in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal his hand. In a courtroom showdown, her smug smile fades as Ethan's secret fortune flips the script. This is the story of a man who turned heartbreak into a masterstroke, proving revenge is sweetest when it's silent. Ethan powered down his computer at exactly 5 p.m. The hum of the tech support office fading as colleagues grabbed their bags. He nodded to a coworker, grabbed his keys, and headed to his car parked outside the Miami office building. Another day of fixing crash servers and answering repetitive calls. To the world, he was just a guy with a steady job, a predictable routine, and a wife who posted their sunny life on Instagram. But the truth gnawed at him like static in his headset. At home, Mia barely looked up from her phone when he walked in. She tapped out a message, her fingers moving faster than her acknowledgement of his presence. "Dinner's in the fridge," she said, voice flat, eyes glued to the screen. Ethan reheated leftover pasta, the microwave's beep filling the silence between them. He ate alone at the kitchen counter, the clink of his fork louder than any conversation they'd had in months. Mia's laughter at her phone felt like a jab, each giggle a reminder of the distance growing between them. Later, as Mia showered, Ethan glanced at her phone left on the couch. A notification flashed. "Jake, 7:30 p.m. Gym." His stomach tightened. Jake, her personal trainer, had been a name dropped too often. Casual mentions of extra sessions, always with a smile she never gave Ethan anymore. He didn't touch the phone. Instead, he slipped into the garage, his sanctuary. The space, lit by a single bulb, held an old desk and a laptop that hadn't been touched by anyone but him. He booted it up, the screen casting a blue glow as lines of code appeared. Ethan had started coding as a hobby years ago, a way to escape the monotony of his day job. During the pandemic, that hobby became an obsession. He'd built an app, a sleek platform connecting freelancers to small businesses. It was raw, unpolished, but it worked. He'd spent nights refining algorithms, debugging errors, and pitching to silent investors who saw potential. Mia never asked about the late hours he spent in the garage. She assumed he was tinkering, wasting time on nerd stuff. Her dismissal was a shield. Weeks passed, and Mia's behavior grew bolder. She'd leave for the gym in the evening, returning with flushed cheeks and vague excuses. Ethan caught her texting in the car one night, parked a block away, her face lit by the phone's glow. He didn't confront her. Confrontation would tip his hand, and Ethan was playing a longer game. His app, now called Horizon Tech, had secured its first major investor, a $500,000 seed fund. He funneled every cent into a separate LLC, untouchable by joint accounts. Mia's signature wasn't on a single document. One evening, Mia came home later than usual, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. "We need to talk," she said, tossing divorce papers onto the kitchen counter. Her tone was sharp, her eyes gleaming with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. "This isn't working, Ethan. You're stuck. I need more." She leaned against the counter, waiting for him to crumble. Ethan scanned the papers, his face blank. "Okay," he said, signing without hesitation. Mia's smirk faltered, just for a second, expecting tears or anger. His calm unnerved her. That night, Ethan sat in the garage, the laptop's hum his only companion. Horizon Tech's user base had spiked to 10,000, and a second investor was circling. He typed furiously, integrating a new feature that streamlined payments. The numbers in his private account climbed, $2 million, then $3 million. Mia thought she was leaving a man tethered to a dead-end job. She didn't know he was building an empire in the shadows. Ethan closed the laptop, the screen's light fading. He wasn't broken. He was ready. Mia's confidence surged after Ethan signed the divorce papers. She moved out the next day, her gym bag and a suitcase stuffed into her car. She didn't look back as she drove off, leaving Ethan in their quiet Miami home. He stood at the window, watching her taillights vanish, his pulse steady. Her departure wasn't a loss. It was the starting gun for his plan. In the garage, his laptop glowed with Horizon Tech's dashboard. 15,000 users now, and a venture capitalist had just wired $1. $5 million. Mia, meanwhile, leaned into her new life. She posted photos from rooftop bars, her arm draped around Jake, the trainer, whose grin screamed opportunist. Ethan scrolled through her Instagram on his phone, noting the calculated angles that hid Jake's face. He didn't linger. Instead, he opened his email, where a message from a tech accelerator confirmed a meeting. Horizon Tech was gaining buzz, and Ethan had secured a pitch to a major Silicon Valley firm. He drafted a proposal, his fingers flying across the keyboard, every word sharpening his focus. At a coffee shop a week later, Ethan overheard Mia's voice. She sat 2 tables away, laughing with a friend, her phone buzzing with texts. "Ethan's probably crying into his keyboard," she said, voice dripping with disdain. "He'll be stuck in that dead-end job forever." Her friend giggled, and Mia's phone lit up with Jake's name. Ethan sipped his coffee, unnoticed, and left without a word. Her mockery fueled him. That night, he coded until dawn, integrating a new AI feature into Horizon Tech that predicted client needs. User numbers climbed to 20,000. Mia's affair became reckless. She and Jake were spotted at a South Beach club, her hand on his arm, oblivious to prying eyes. Ethan's co-worker, unaware of the divorce, mentioned seeing Mia there. Ethan nodded, filing the information away. He didn't care about her fling. His focus was on the next milestone. A second investor meeting went better than expected. $3 million more, and a tech blog called Horizon Tech the next big disruptor. Ethan deposited the funds into his LLC, ensuring no trace appeared in joint accounts. One evening, Mia called, her voice sugary. "Just checking in, Ethan. You okay?" She was fishing, testing if he'd crack. He kept his tone neutral. "Fine. You?" She hesitated, thrown by his indifference, then hung up. Ethan smirked, opening his laptop to review Horizon Tech's analytics. The platform's revenue hit $500,000 that month. He hired a discreet lawyer, one who specialized in protecting assets. The prenup, signed years ago when Mia thought Ethan had nothing to lose, was ironclad. She'd get half their modest savings, $20,000, and her car. Nothing more. Mia's social media painted a different story. She posted about a weekend in Key West, her captions hinting at a new chapter. Jake's shadow loomed in every photo, a silent partner in her victory lap. Ethan tracked her posts, not out of jealousy, but strategy. Her overconfidence was a blind spot. He installed a security camera outside their old home, catching Jake's car parked nearby at odd hours. The footage was leverage, though Ethan didn't plan to use it yet. His revenge wasn't loud. It was surgical. By month's end, Horizon Tech hit 30,000 users. Ethan moved funds to an offshore account, untouchable by divorce proceedings. Mia, unaware, pushed for a quick settlement, texting Ethan to speed things up. He agreed, scheduling the court date. Her haste was her mistake. Ethan met his lawyer, reviewing documents that detailed his company's valuation, now $8 million. The lawyer's eyes gleamed. "She has no idea what's coming." Ethan nodded, his calm masking the storm building inside him. The Miami courthouse buzzed with the hum of anticipation as Ethan adjusted his tie and took his seat. His lawyer, a sharp-eyed man with a knack for precision, slid a folder across the table, its contents a carefully curated weapon. Across the room, Mia entered, her heels clicking with purpose, radiating a confidence that bordered on theatrical. She whispered to her lawyer, a slick-talking attorney who'd promised her a hefty payout. Ethan met her gaze briefly, his expression unreadable, then turned to his notes. The judge, a stern woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, called the session to order. Mia's lawyer stood first, launching into a rehearsed speech. "Mr. Carter's declared income from his tech support job doesn't add up," he argued, voice brimming with accusation. "We suspect hidden assets, and my client is entitled to her fair share." He gestured toward Mia, who nodded, her lips curled in a faint, victorious smirk. The judge's eyes narrowed, signaling Ethan's lawyer to respond. Ethan's attorney rose, calm as a still lake. "We have full documentation of Mr. Carter's finances," he said, handing over a thick stack of papers. The judge flipped through them, her pen tapping rhythmically. Ethan watched Mia, noting the way her fingers tightened around her purse, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. His lawyer continued, voice steady. "Mr. Carter is the sole owner of Horizon Tech LLC, established prior to the marriage, with a current valuation of $15 million. The courtroom went silent. the air thick with shock. Mia's jaw dropped, her eyes darting to Ethan, searching for a lie. He held her stare, unflinching, as the judge read aloud. Horizon Tech, a technology platform, was incorporated in 2018 before the marriage contract. Its assets are separate, protected by a prenuptial agreement signed by both parties. Mia's lawyer scrambled through his notes, his earlier confidence evaporating. Mia leaned toward him, whispering frantically, but he shook his head. Ethan's lawyer pressed forward, presenting bank statements and incorporation documents. No marital funds were used in the company's development. Mrs. Carter contributed no labor or investment. Each word landed like a precise strike, dismantling Mia's expectations. The judge's pen stopped tapping as she reviewed the prenup, her voice cutting through the tension. The agreement is clear. Mrs. Carter has no legal claim to Horizon Tech or its profits. Mia es sebret icht audible. She gripped the table, her knuckles pale, as the reality sank in. Ethan remained still, his calm a stark contrast to her unraveling. Her lawyer tried to pivot, stammering about the joint savings account, but the judge cut him off. The shared account holds $20,000 to be split evenly. Mrs. Carter retains her vehicle. That's the extent of the settlement. Mia's eyes widened, her earlier swagger replaced by a stunned silence. Ethan's thoughts flashed to the nights he'd spent coding, the risks he'd taken while Mia dismissed him as ordinary. Her betrayal had been the spark, but his discipline had built the fire. The judge's gavel cracked, finalizing the ruling. Mia stared at the floor, her hands trembling as she gathered her papers. Ethan stood, nodding to his lawyer, who gave a subtle thumbs up. The courtroom cleared, but Mia lingered, her gaze fixed on Ethan as if seeing him for the first time. Outside, Ethan checked his phone, a notification from Horizon Tech's latest investor, pushing the valuation to $16 million. He slipped the device into his pocket and walked toward the parking lot, the Miami sun glaring overhead. Mia's footsteps echoed behind him, hesitant, as if she might speak. Ethan didn't turn around. The trap had sprung, and he was already steps ahead, his victory carved in silence. Mia's world unraveled faster than a dropped stitch. Her Instagram, once a parade of glitzy nights and curated confidence, went silent the day after the courthouse ruling. No more photos of sparkling wine or sunsets with Jake's arm in the frame. Ethan noticed the change on his phone while sipping coffee at a downtown Miami cafe, but he didn't dwell. He had a meeting with Horizon Tech's newest investor, a firm pushing to expand the platform nationwide. The app's user base hit 50,000, and revenue ticked past $1 million. Mia, meanwhile, scrambled to salvage her plans. She moved into a cramped studio apartment on the edge of Miami, her car parked outside, already late on payments. Jake vanished after the court date, his texts unanswered, his gym sessions with her canceled. Ethan heard through a mutual acquaintance that Jake had bragged about scoring big with Mia, only to ghost her when the fortune didn't materialize. Mia's calls to friends went straight to voicemail, her social circle shrinking as her facade crumbled. Ethan relocated to a sleek penthouse overlooking Biscayne Bay, purchased with Horizon Tech's profits. He kept it secret, never posting about it online. His days filled with strategy sessions, tweaking the app's interface to handle a surge in traffic. A tech podcast invited him to speak, calling him Miami's rising star. He declined, preferring to stay low-key. His lawyer sent updates. Mia's attorney had filed an appeal, claiming Ethan misrepresented his wealth. The attempt was desperate, doomed to fail against the prenup's airtight clauses. One evening, Mia showed up at Ethan's old house, unaware he'd moved. Security footage, emailed to his phone, captured her knocking, then pacing, her posture slouched. She left a note taped to the door. "We need to talk. Please." Ethan read it on his screen, then deleted the alert. He didn't respond. Instead, he finalized a deal with a logistics company integrating Horizon Tech's platform, boosting its valuation to $18 million. His focus was ironclad, every move calculated to widen the gap between his past and present. Mia's desperation grew. She posted a vague apology on social media, a cryptic paragraph about mistakes and starting over. Ethan saw it during a break between coding sessions but scrolled past. Her words meant nothing. Actions had spoken louder. A coworker mentioned seeing Mia at a bar, alone, nursing a drink while staring at her phone. Her once vibrant network had evaporated, leaving her to face the consequences of her choices in solitude. Ethan's empire expanded quietly. He hired a small team, leasing an office in downtown Miami. Horizon Tech's app rolled out a new feature, connecting freelancers to international clients, and user growth spiked to 75,000. A tech magazine reached out, offering a cover story. Ethan agreed, but only if they focused on the app, not him. The article went viral, and inquiries flooded his inbox. He filtered them ruthlessly, prioritizing deals over fame. Late one night, Mia emailed him, her tone a mix of plea and defiance. "You had everything from me, Ethan. I deserve better." He read it once, then archived it. The next day, he signed a contract with a major retailer, pushing Horizon Tech's projected revenue to $5 million annually. Mia's appeal was struck down in court, the judge citing no new evidence. Her lawyer quit, unwilling to chase a lost cause. Ethan received the news during a board meeting, nodding without comment. By month's end, Mia's car was repossessed. She took a job as a receptionist, her dreams of luxury replaced by a stark reality. Ethan, meanwhile, tested a beta version of Horizon Tech's next update, his screen glowing with data. The fallout was clear. Mia's betrayal had cost her everything, while Ethan's resilience had built a future she'd never touch. He saved the update, shut his laptop, and glanced at the city skyline, his victory etched in every line of code. Ethan's new life took shape with quiet precision. Horizon Tech's office hummed with activity, a team of 10 now managing its global expansion. The platform hit 100,000 users, and a partnership with a major tech firm pushed its valuation to $20 million. Ethan worked late, refining a feature that automated client contracts, his focus unbroken by the past. He avoided social media, uninterested in the noise of validation, but a Google alert pinged. Mia's online presence had vanished entirely. Mia, now working long hours as a receptionist, faced a reality stripped of glamour. Her apartment, a dim studio in a noisy Miami suburb, was a far cry from the life she'd envisioned. She stopped reaching out to Ethan, her last email unanswered months ago. A former friend mentioned seeing her at a grocery store, scanning coupons with a tense focus, her phone silent. Jake had moved to another city, chasing a new prospect, leaving Mia to navigate her consequences alone. Ethan's path crossed with Sophia at a tech conference in Orlando. She approached him after his panel, asking sharp questions about Horizon Tech scalability. Her eyes, bright with curiosity, held no trace of the opportunism he'd grown wary of. They grabbed coffee, talking code and design over lukewarm cups. Sophia, a freelance graphic designer, shared her latest project, a sleek app interface she'd built from scratch. Ethan admired her drive, a spark that felt genuine, untainted by ulterior motives. Their conversations grew frequent, texts turning into late-night calls. Sophia invited Ethan to an art gallery opening, where they debated abstract paintings and laughed over shared stories of startup failures. She didn't ask about his wealth or past, focusing instead on his ideas for Horizon Tech's next phase. Ethan felt a weight lift, the first time in years he could speak without guarding his words. He invited her to Miami, showing her the office, where she sketched logo updates on a whiteboard, her input sharp and practical. Meanwhile, Mia's life continued to contract. Her landlord sent an eviction notice for missed rent, forcing her to move to a cheaper unit farther from the city. A coworker overheard her on the phone, pleading with a bank for a loan extension. Her social circle, once vibrant, had dissolved, leaving her to face long evenings alone. Ethan learned of her struggles through a mutual acquaintance, but felt no urge to intervene. Her choices had carved her path, just as his had built his. Horizon Tech launched its international platform, onboarding clients from Europe and Asia. Ethan hired Sophia as a consultant, her designs streamlining the app's user experience. They celebrated the launch over dinner at a quiet beachside restaurant, the ocean's rhythm a backdrop to their plans for a joint project. Ethan shared a piece of his past, not the betrayal, but the late nights coding in a garage, driven by a need to prove himself. Sophia listened, nodding, then pitched a new feature idea, her enthusiasm infectious. One morning, Ethan passed a cafe where Mia now worked, her name tag visible as she cleared tables. She froze when she saw him, her hand clutching a tray. Ethan nodded politely, ordered a coffee, and left a standard tip. Their eyes met briefly, hers clouded with regret, his steady with indifference. He walked away, the encounter a footnote in a life moving forward. Mia returned to her shift, the clatter of dishes drowning out her thoughts. Ethan's penthouse became a hub for brainstorming with Sophia. Their laptops opened late into the night. Horizon Tech's valuation climbed to $25 million, and Ethan donated a portion to a local coding boot camp for underprivileged youth. He didn't seek recognition, but a news outlet covered the story, dubbing him a quiet visionary. Sophia teased him about it, her smile warm. As they stood on his balcony, planning the next app update, Ethan realized Mia's betrayal had been a crucible, forging a life he'd never have built otherwise.